I'll do my best to make sure I answer them for you. But in the meantime, we're going to start with explaining why it's so breezy today, and then we'll transition into what's coming up for your Monday morning and Tuesday morning with the freezing conditions. So if you were following along with us yesterday evening, I was mentioning that we had a cold front that was moving through the state. I'm going to step over to my left a little bit so you can see the screen behind me. The cold front now well off to our southeast, impacting portions of Georgia and Florida over to the Carolinas. But what I want you to notice, if we could take this image wide, all of those white lines you see slicing through the screen, those are different measures of pressure. So if we could take this wide so you can see that better, that kind of indicates to us that we're in the middle of a pressure gradient. We got an area of high pressure over off in the plains, that low pressure with that cold front off to our east. So if we could take the image wide so you can see what I'm describing, thank you. You see that pressure gradient, all of those white lines that are slicing through not just the natural state, but a lot of our neighboring states. Like I mentioned, those are different measures of pressure. Higher pressure to our west, lower pressure to our east. So while we're wedged in the middle of that pressure gradient, that's what's causing all of these breezy winds coming from the northwest. You've also noticed today it's already feeling cooler than it did yesterday. We're a solid, I'm going to bring that up as well, how many degrees of a difference we are from yesterday. Bring this up so you can see that. So compared to this time yesterday, behind that cold front, 26-degree difference in the capital city. So we're in the 40s now. Yes, this time yesterday, we were kind of nearing the lower to middle 70s or middle to upper 70s, a 30-degree difference or 31-degree difference for our neighbors in Harrison compared to this time yesterday, down to our south, about a 19-20-degree difference. So that's kind of the gradient that you see, 20 to 30 degrees cooler than what we saw this time yesterday behind that front that, as you saw a second ago, was well off to our south and east. We, again, have those breezy winds while we're wedged in the middle of that pressure gradient. Now, this isn't doing a good job of picking up on the wind gusts across like places like the capital city or Clinton or Stuttgart or Monticello, but we can see some of our neighbors like Hot Springs and Pine Bluff right now showing wind gusts kind of around that 25-mile-an-hour mark. Similar story up in Harrison, 26-mile-an-hour wind gusts being observed right now. Texarkana nearing 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So obviously, if you've been outside, you feel how breezy it is. That doesn't make it feel much better when you factor in we're only hanging on to some lower 50s today. But the big story, which is why we are bringing you kind of this stream, this explanation, we've got some much colder air that'll filter in overnight. So widespread freeze expected Monday morning and Tuesday morning. Hopefully you've already been making your preparations. You dusted off that winter coat because you're going to need it in the morning, and you'll likely need it Tuesday morning as well. We have pretty much most of the state under a freeze warning. Now, this is just for tonight into Monday. The National Weather Service verbiage is from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Now, right now, they haven't indicated if there's going to be any type of freeze watch or warning issued for Tuesday. But as you'll see here in a second, Tuesday is going to be pretty chilly as well. But reading to you from the National Weather Service is kind of more of the verbiage they have around this freeze warning. Sub-freezing temperatures as low as 25 degrees expected. That does include portions of central, eastern, north central, southeastern, southwestern, and west Arkansas. Again, that will be from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., or you could just say Sunday night through Monday morning. Looking at kind of some of the temperatures we're expecting going into Monday morning, generally a lot of middle to upper 20s across central Arkansas and the metro. Some of our neighbors to our north and our west, maybe we'll see a little more of those lower 20s, still close to the 25-degree mark, but we can see a few 24s popping up around Harrison, Fayetteville, DeQueen. This is the forecast. Now, you could maybe inch a degree or two cooler or stay a degree or two warmer. Bottom line is, if you're below 32, that's below freezing. Everybody on this map is below that 32-degree mark, which is why we're making, for lack of a better term, a big deal of this, because we haven't seen sub-freezing temperatures statewide since the winter. winter. And we're about halfway through the fall, so this is kind of a quick little wake up of, oh, winter is coming. It's not officially the start of winter, but it lets you know that something is on the way. Good news is this is going to be short-lived. Tuesday, like I mentioned, going to be another chilly morning. Now Tuesday, likely seeing more of the upper 20s and lower 30s. We have a few places that'll teeter around the freezing mark or stay above the freezing mark. Monticello down to your south 33. That's just above the freezing mark. A degree cooler than that will be right at freezing. Off to our northwest, Fayetteville. Right now, your forecast is around 40, so you could wake up above freezing on Tuesday. Mena, Texarkana, same story. Batesville, similar to Monticello, just shy of getting below freezing. But look at areas like the Little Rock Metro, Hot Springs over in Stuttgart and Pine Bluff, right around or just below that freezing mark for Tuesday. So I'm going to take this back to Monday because these colors also tell a story. So for Monday's map, we're looking at a lot of that widespread pink across the state. That indicates freeze likely. Now we got some patchy white in southeast Arkansas. That's freeze possible. But up to your north where we have that swath of purple across those northernmost kind of 2 to 3 rows of counties, that's a hard freeze. And when we talk about a hard freeze, then you start talking about things like potential pipes freeze. And that's kind of why I've been even mentioning things about, you know, insulating those pipes. That won't necessarily be a concern for everyone, but we do have people that tune in from Mountain Home, maybe even up in Clinton, or you have family up in Harrison that you want to make sure they are prepared, they have their homes prepared for Monday. And Tuesday, it doesn't look like it will be as heavy of a concern, but Tuesday's still going to feel those slightly sub-freezing temperatures. That'll be jarring for the system for anybody headed out to work and school early in the morning and those kids having to hang out at the bus stop. Another component to consider with this is the wind chill. Now, similar to heat index in the summertime, when we talk about heat index, that's what the temperature feels like. Now, heat index is determined by the air temperature and the amount of moisture in the air or humidity. That's a word we use to describe it. In the winter, though, when we start talking about the wind chill, that takes into account the air temperature and then wind speeds, because if the wind is whipping pretty hard, that makes it harder for your body to retain that internal heat. So with that in mind, looking at the wind chill for Monday, you saw a second ago those temperatures in more of the middle to upper 20s, but it will feel like more of the lower to middle 20s. Maybe further south still feeling like the upper 20s, but we'll still have winds, maybe gusting up to around 15 miles an hour headed into Monday. Winds do calm down a little bit Monday night into Tuesday because we'll have an area of high pressure kind of pass by and it'll wave by as it moves on into Tuesday. So even Tuesday, the wind chill could still be a few degrees cooler than the actual temperature, because waking up Tuesday morning, we could still see a few breezy, gusty winds at time. But the bottom line is a lot of us waking up below freezing, even if you're just above that freezing mark, say on Tuesday, is still going to feel below freezing. So that's why we've issued the weather impact alert for Monday and Tuesday mornings with, again, that big temperature change. We started out this month of November with above average temperatures, waking up in the mornings in the 40s and 50s, in the afternoon getting to the 70s. Now we're seeing some days like today, we're confined to the 50s. Tomorrow we're going to be confined to the 40s, but we wake up in the morning much cooler, teetering that freezing line. So that is a shock to the system for a lot of people, especially if you're somebody that has an early commute. Now, looking ahead to kind of what you can do to get prepared. Hopefully you've already been doing some of these things because we've been talking about it for a few days. Obviously, any outdoor plants that you can bring inside, bring those inside. Plants you have outside that maybe you can't bring inside, try to cover them. We've had a couple frost already, so we've been talking about the plant aspect of it. But your pets, if you have, a dog that hangs out in your backyard, maybe bring them inside where it's warm tonight and tomorrow night, because they're going to be cold too. Again, we've been talking about bringing out that winter coat. You'll need the scarf and the gloves for the next couple mornings. I think Nathan might have been the one to add this on here, heater maintenance. Hopefully at this point, if you've already turned on your heat, you've been doing the proper maintenance to make sure that's taken care of. Something else to consider is what that might mean for your car. When we see those big temperature drops, the tire pressure in your car can be affected by that. And also something I've just been mentioning myself is when you get into this time of year where you have a cold start to the morning, don't just hop in the car, crank it, and immediately drive off. You want to give the car a little bit of time to crank up, warm up, and then take off as well. That kind of saves you some efforts down the line on that car engine and battery. I'm not going to get above my head to talk about cars with you, but something I can let you in on is just dressing for cold, just kind of a refresher. Now, I would say what we're expecting the next couple mornings is a cross between the chilly and the cold. I'm not going to tell you to dress in 3 layers, but maybe 2 layers would suffice, especially, you know, by Tuesday, we waking up around the freezing mark, but say we get into the lower 60s Tuesday. You might not need all of the fixings with the hat and the gloves that you started the morning with, but if you have an early commute, especially 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock through 9 o'clock, you definitely want to make sure you have like that nice outer layer of a coat, some warm shoes, maybe even the scarf and the hat, the gloves. The kids are definitely going to need that. Now, we're not in that realm of extreme cold right now. Thank God. It's a little too early for that, but still just refreshing your memory, some things that could be helpful. That hat, a nice jacket, some gloves, some warm shoes. The great news is, as I mentioned, this is not going to be long lived. Monday and Tuesday are going to be those cold mornings, and then we see a rebound with the morning temperatures. Morning temperatures actually back above average by Wednesday. The average morning low right now is 42. We're waking up in the middle to upper 40s Wednesday. We'll do it again Thursday, and then the end of the week into the weekend, we wake up in the mornings in the 50s. So this won't be something that's long lived. Even with those afternoon highs, I know today doesn't feel the best because it's cool and it's breezy. Fortunately, tomorrow won't be much better. We're going to stay in the 40s tomorrow. So you will probably actually need those layers that you can keep on tomorrow. But by Tuesday, we're a little closer to the norm. Our average high right now is 64. We could likely get up to the lower 60s on Tuesday. So that's where you can kind of lose some of those layers. And then the rest of the work week in the afternoons, we're going to see some 70s. By Friday, that's probably going to be our warmest day of the week, where we peak in the middle to upper 70s. And it looks like we'll have a bit of a cool down headed into the weekend. It also will kind of match up when we see our next chance of rain. So the good thing is, even though it's getting this cold at the top of the week, we're not expecting any precipitation or wintry precipitation. With this. The rain will come later on in the weekend following kind of our next cool down. Just kind of looking at some comments. Somebody said, I didn't know people needed a tutorial on how to stay warm. Well, people don't necessarily need a tutorial, but it doesn't hurt to have a reminder, especially when we're coming out of being warm for so long and seeing above average temperature. So it is free to be kind to your neighbors, because not everybody has the same resources to maybe stay up to date with what's changing with the forecast. And if you don't, nobody faults you for that. That's why we do things like this. So if for whatever reason you haven't had a chance to watch our newscast, this is an opportunity for you to see what's coming, and then these live on social media. Now, again, if you were not aware, we have a freeze warning in effect for a good chunk of the state. This is tonight into Monday morning, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. As of the timing of us speaking right now, it's 2:45. We're coming up on 2:45. The National Weather Service has not indicated just yet if they're going to issue something for Tuesday, but I would not be surprised if we maybe get a freeze watch, or even some places maybe a frost advisory, because Tuesday morning's temperatures going to be pretty similar. This is Monday, but Tuesday's temperatures not that far off. We'll continue to see some upper 20s and lower 30s. So we're coming up to, like I said, 2:45 right now. We have about 5 minutes left on this stream. Not a whole lot to get into, just making sure I'm not missing anybody's questions. Again, this is just if for whatever reason you have not been able to follow along with our newscast, this is just kind of an update saying, hey, this is on the way. This is a pretty jarring change from 48 hours ago to now. Even what we're feeling right now outside is a pretty jarring difference. Right now, we're hanging out a lot of people in the 40s and 50s. I'm going to bring up current temperatures and show you how that relates to where we were yesterday, because that front that moved through really is packing a punch right now. So a lot of us a good 20 to 30 degrees below what's considered the norm right now, or compared to what we saw yesterday. So again, currently a lot of those upper 40s and lower 50s, right at the 50-degree mark here in the capital city. And compared to yesterday, that's a good 26-degree difference. This time yesterday, it was 76. So the fact that it's 50 now, overnight, we're going to start your Monday in the 20s, that will be jarring for some. So again, just make sure you're prepared, you bring those pets in. Hopefully you've taken care of whatever you need to in regards to your plants. Hopefully, if you haven't already turned the heater on, you have that prepared so you don't have any issues with that. This is that time of year where we unfortunately see more home fires when you start dealing with space heaters. So you're using you're doing the proper usage with those as well, and you're dressed warmly. Now, for the rest of today, we will continue to see some pretty gusty winds. We don't have any wind advisories right now. The only alert is the freeze warning that we have for tomorrow. So we're coming up on our last couple minutes. Again, all of this is thanks to that cold front that moved through the state overnight into today. When we were doing our 6:30 newscast yesterday, it was making its trip through the state, and by 10 o'clock, it was almost out of the state. Now it's well off to our southeast, and while we're wedged in the middle of that pressure gradient, we're going to continue to see some breezy winds. Those breezy winds going to make the wind chill, or the feels like temperature, even cooler than those freezing temperatures that we're expecting. So that's just why we want to bring more attention to this. So coming up now on 48, we have about 2 minutes left. So just gonna leave you with this again. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like we're somewhere between the chilly and the cold. I'm not gonna go as far to say you need 3 layers of clothes, but definitely the 2 layers, a nice coat, a nice warm coat, hat, scarf, gloves, especially for the kids that might have to sit at the bus stop in the morning, some warm shoes. Bright side is this does not last the entire week. This is just Monday morning and Tuesday morning. We'll be kind of back to our regular scheduled programming by Arkansas standards by the middle part and second half of the week. So I'll put us on the 7-day to kind of give you that broader view of what the week ahead looks like. So we start Monday and Tuesday with our THV 11 weather impact alert due to those sub-freezing temperatures and very cold wind chill values. Monday afternoon, we rebound to the middle 40s. Tuesday afternoon, we get a little bit closer to what's considered the norm for this time of year and warm up to the lower 60s. By Wednesday, we already start the morning warmer than what's considered the norm. We'll warm up to the 70s. We'll continue to see 70s through the start of the weekend. Likely that our next cold front rainmaker comes somewhere around Friday, Saturday. The best chances of rain right now looks like it'll be on Saturday. Maybe spotty to scattered rain coverage. We could maybe see a stray shower Sunday morning, looking to see some more sunshine by Sunday evening. So the good news is this time next weekend won't be as chilly and breezy as what we're seeing today. The bad news is before we can get to those warmer temperatures, we do have to get through 2 cold mornings. So if for whatever reason you missed this, you will have the opportunity to go back and rewind this on our Facebook or our YouTube. But if you have the chance, make sure you join us at 5:30 for the 5:30 news. We'll have updated news headlines, an updated look at the forecast, and then tonight at 10, I have an updated look at your forecast as well. If the National Weather Service does decide to issue some type of cold weather alert for Tuesday, we'll be discussing that this evening. But right now, our only alert is the freeze warning that we have for Monday morning, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. So that will impact your morning commute. And if you're out late tonight, you'll start to feel that as well. But in the meantime, stay warm, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll check in again soon.